So, problems with Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Number one.
Too much focus on the humans.
Yeah, as much as I said, yeah, sure, there's more focus on the robots now, there's still too much focus on the humans. Every single version of the Transformers story that we have ever seen in the past, okay, it's a story about giant, transformable, sentient robots. That's it. A lot of episodes of the cartoon, especially a lot of issues of the comic, didn't even have a single human to be seen anywhere in it. It's about the robots. It is a story about robots. That's it.
Okay, dork.
Not saying humans aren't there. Sure, humans are there. Some of them befriend them. Some of them ally themselves with the Decepticons. Some of them pose a threat every once in a while. But they're not the central focus. They just show up once in a while to help out or make trouble. But that's it. It's always about the robots.
Would you like me to put a tea kettle in your brain?
A tea kettle in my brain?
Because then the steam will go out your ears.
Oh. Okay.
Next one is you didn't like the robot style.
Oh, the design. God. Yeah, okay. There's a series of action figures out, the Transformers, I think it's called the Masterpiece Collection, and it's basically, there's a lot of these old, sort of updated versions of classic action figure lines. Masters of the Universe is doing, there's some Ghostbusters one coming out. But there's one for the Transformers as well, and it looks great. It's like really detailed, collectible versions of the classic characters. Essentially, turning them into viable looking robots and stuff, rather than the sort of, clunky toys of the past. Now, in the cartoons and the comics, it was always discernible where, the paneling for the car parts were, and the faces and the hands and stuff like that. It was all very clear what each part was. I think the problem with the Transformers in the movies is they're over-designed.
They are over-designed.
They're too detailed. Like, whatever happened to less is more? Sure, they look cool when they transform, but then you get up anywhere near one of them and you don't know what the hell you're looking at. It's just a mess of
gray or whatever. They all look the same.
Yeah, the color schemes are very similar, except for, like, Optimus and Bumblebee. You got red and blue and yellow. But even then, when either of them gets into a tumble with somebody, they still look... It's hard to tell who's fighting who, because they just get this mess of parts, and you occasionally see a hand stick out, and or a foot, and...
Well, like, when I saw Megatron and Optimus fight, was it in the forest, I think it was, I honestly could not tell the difference. Like, I was like, okay, who the hell is winning? Who's losing?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. It's it's definitely a case where they should have followed the old rule of less is more, because I really don't like the designs. I think they're over complicated. It's hard to tell who's who half the time, especially when they're fighting, and it's just, it's crazy. Like, come on. Great, you can make them super complicated. That doesn't mean you have to.
Now, before I get you more pissed off,
yes.
Or the movie, sorry, not me, you didn't like Bumblebee's voice.
Bumblebee! Okay. Let me get a little refresher here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the first movie, did they not fix Bumblebee's voice unit? Wasn't that sort of one of the big hooray moments at the end of the first movie? It's like, Bumblebee can talk now. He'll have a voice in the second movie. So what happens? The second movie, we first see Bumblebee, he's still using the fucking radio. It's like, okay, that was a fun little gimmick for the first one, but give it a rest. We've progressed beyond that. At least we thought we had. But no, voice unit still isn't working, huh? That was how they explained it. One little throwaway line. Why isn't it working? It was working before. But no, doesn't matter. We're going to keep using the radio gag just because we can. What was the point of fixing it at the end of the first one? That was a pointless thing now, because they didn't follow up on it in the second one.
Now, before you give yourself a massive coronary, how about I say something?
Please do.
Okay, I'll do one of the cons. Will you just take a break for a little bit?
Okay.
No.
Go.
And you can't say anything.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll go get my Slurpee.
Fine. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was redundant and pointless and everything besides Megan Fox and Sam's relationship was the whole college scene. There is no point to it. I thought the guy that was his roommate, I guess, just had no point. I mean, from the beginning to the end, he said nothing but, what was it? What did he say?
Oh my God, we're gonna die!
Yeah, okay, now you can be quiet again.
And that's all he does.
And that's all he does, yeah. He doesn't say anything else. He doesn't, at the end, get some balls.
There's no development of his character. Okay, the college scene.
I'm gonna go get a drink.
The college scene, not funny, served no purpose, and it went on way too long. Okay, what happens in the college scene that is of any relevance to the overall plot? There's one thing, well, two things, okay? Sam has his all-spark vision freak out in class, which is fine, whatever, that's fun, I can live with that. Why does he have to be in a college for that? Why can't that happen when he's at work or something, No, whatever, that's okay. There's that, and the other thing was to introduce Leo, Raymond Ramirez. Don't have a problem with Raymond Ramirez as an actor. Have a big problem with his character, because his character was not funny. Half of his lines were balls jokes, which we'll get into in a little bit, but the only actual purpose that he served, the only function that he served to the plot, was to bring us back to Agent Simmons, the Section 7 guy, John Turturro. That was it. That was the only actual purpose that he served. Other than that, he was the oh my God, we're going to die guy. And the problem with that is, if you're going to do that with a character and have him...
You have to be able to have some bravery at the end and get over it.
There has to be development. You can't just have him be the permanent coward. I mean, throughout film history, when you've had the cowardly, cowardly comedic character, there's always a moment in there where he finds his bravery. But to my recollection, Leo is a coward from beginning to finish. In fact, if anything, he becomes more cowardly as it goes on. Unresolved character arcs. Big problem. Don't introduce a character if you're not going to follow through on it.
Now, spinning camera moves.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm not one to suffer from motion sickness usually. I saw Blair Witch in the theater. I sat almost in the front row. I had no problem at all.
No problem with that.
But when you out motion sickness Blair Witch, you're doing something wrong. Two cases specifically from the movie. There's Sam saying goodbye to Michaela. Fine, nice little moment. I'm going to college, I'm gonna miss you. Fine, whatever, have your little sappy moment, I don't mind. But why is the fucking camera spinning around them like this? It's like we're watching it from the outside of a tornado. It's like we're in an easy chair, floating in the tornado, spinning around these two kids. And it's just crazy. Like, the velocity is ridiculous. Like, okay, I'm all cool with keeping the camera moving. It gives some production value to things. It's like, hey, look, cool, we can set up this nice track around our actors. Isn't it nice that we can go in a circle and keep them perfectly centered? Great! You don't have to go around it at 500 miles an hour. And then they do it again. As if that wasn't enough. I mean, the other thing was, it was just the most wildly inappropriate for hyper-spastic camera moves. It's two kids in love saying goodbye. That's not a hyper-camera move moment.
Oh, okay. Down, boy.
So they do it again when Megatron is on top of the pyramid, and it's just spinning around and around and around. It's like, stop! Stop the world! I want to get off!
Okay, that's enough.
Sorry.
It's my turn.
Okay,
You
go.
have to be quiet now.
Just go.
Fine. One of my biggest pet peeves about this movie, and Sean agrees too, he's just not allowed to talk, is...
Well, I'll have something to say.
No,
I know where you're going.
You can't talk.
I'll have something to say.
And I had this pet peeve, like, as soon as the movie ended and we were out the door. It wasn't like the day after or anything. The problem was, the big hype with the humans was Sam saying, "I love you." Like, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna have some kind of romantic climax in a movie like that, with them dating for quite some time and going through that kind of shit together, you expect, like, him not being able to propose to her or what, but come on, "I love you"? Like, you expect that after the first movie, considering they almost died together. So, cut me the slack and just, like, not have it over "I love you." Come on, it's too easy to say "I love you." Really, it is. You're like the biggest wuss in the world if you can't say that to your girlfriend after like 6 months. Come on.
And bonding through helping to fight giant killer robots. Yeah, that just struck me as really stupid, quite frankly, because that is such an old cop-out
Like
love story subplot.
50s. It's like from the 50s you'd expect
Okay,
that from.
the last time I remember seeing the "I can't bring myself to say I love you just yet" plot line was in an old episode of Freddy's Nightmares, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the series. Now that was a horrible series. Yeah, sure, it was a guilty pleasure for me, and I'll happily buy it on DVD if it comes out, but it's a horrible series. Horrible writing, horrible acting, the whole works. And that story, at the time, when I saw it, I thought was stupid. The whole "I can't bring myself to say I love you" thing. And that was in 1989. So here we are 20 years later, and they're putting it into a big blockbuster action movie? This isn't an 80s teen comedy, folks. Get over the "I love you" subplot. It's old, it's been done to death. Don't put it in a fucking Transformers movie.
Okay, now there's only one more. Can you handle it? It's Soundwave. It's Soundwave.
What can I say about Soundwave? Soundwave. Yeah, Soundwave was the character most conspicuously absent from the first one, and fans were outraged. Like, why the hell isn't Soundwave in it? And the excuse they gave at the time was, well, because he transforms into a cassette deck and nobody uses cassette decks anymore. You couldn't turn him into a CD player or something, or an iPod?
Yeah,
I mean,
BS.
Come on, get some product placement from Apple. I'm sure they'd be happy.
Yeah, transform into an iPod. Come on.
Why not? But then they get into the whole thing like, we're going for realistic size, and like how Soundwave would shrink down to the size of a normal boombox and then grow into this giant robot. Just isn't plausible. Yeah, because the rest of it is just
the rest are,
so
yeah.
plausible. Come on. So what can I say?
A bunch of bullshit excuses, hey?
Yeah. So in the end, what do? They turn Soundwave into a spy satellite, and that's fine, whatever. I was just happy to hear that Soundwave was going to be in the movie in some capacity. And then I was even happier to hear that they had got Frank Welker, who was the original voice of Soundwave, and probably one of the most prolific voice actors who ever lived, next to Mel Blanc. He did a ton of voices for the original cartoons. It was great to hear that he was going to be coming back and doing the voice of Soundwave.
Take a breath.
You totally know what I'm going to say, don't you? What's one of the things people most fondly remember about Soundwave? You know what I'm going to say, don't you? His voice! Hello, I am Soundwave. I have a very vocoded voice.
That was good.
I'm not a vocoder, so I can't really duplicate it well. But you know what I mean. He has a very distinctive voice that you just recognize instantly. He was the only Transformer that really sounded like a robot. And it sounded cool. You totally went with it. It was perfect. So, I remember an episode of the cartoon. I mean, 80s cartoons were notorious for their animation mistakes and whatnot, making it on the air. But one mistake in Transformers that I distinctly remember, there was like 2 lines that Soundwave says in one episode. where they had forgotten to vocode his voice. Now, a vocoder is like a voice processor. You speak into it, and it lets you change the pitch and such and make it sound all robotic and such. It's been used for years in television
We need one
and
of
movies
those.
and stuff. Yeah, totally. They're a blast to play with. They're used a lot in techno music and stuff now, too. But, so there was this one line, it was like a couple of lines in one episode where they'd forgotten to vocode Soundwave's voice. You actually heard how Frank Welker does the voice.
And he does it like this.
I don't know how he does it, but he does. It sounds like Dr. Claw, okay? In fact, he may have been the voice of Dr. Claw. He does it like Dr. Claw, and then they feed that recording through the vocoder to give it the tonality, the pitch, and the variation and everything. But he just does it straight like that, sounding like Dr. Claw. And that's what he did for the movie. But in the movie, they didn't vocode it.
They just left his voice like this.
Throughout the whole damn thing! It's like, what, did you just see that one fucked up clip from the cartoon and use that as your reference? What the hell? That was like the most annoying mistake. It's like, okay, so you finally put Soundwave in, you go to all the trouble of getting the original voice actor, and then you don't even make it sound like Soundwave. Why? Why?
Okay, no more rant for you, mister.
There is just no reason for that. There was no reason. You can't find a vocoder somewhere? This is a $80 bazillion movie. You can't find a $20 used vocoder on eBay?
No more ranting for you.
Balls jokes.
Thought you already went over it.
No, I touched on it.
Oh, sorry.
I touched the balls. I didn't quite elaborate. Okay, Devastator. Devastator has balls. A lot of people are like, why does a robot have balls? Well, Devastator's made from construction vehicles. I can understand one ball. One ball, wrecking ball. Even though none of the original Constructicons were a wrecking ball, but I can live with one ball. But they gave him two. Why? Well, obviously, so they could throw in yet another balls joke. There was so many frickin' balls jokes in it. How many balls jokes do you need in a sci-fi action movie? This isn't college humor, folks. This is the Trans-fucking-formers. That was the other thing. Actually, that was one of the other issues we had with it, was the humor.
Oh, yeah.
The humor in it just seemed so forced in this one. Now, a lot of people complained about the humor in the first one. I honestly did not have a problem with the humor in the first one.
But come on, getting Sam's mom high as being one of the big humor things.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
It's like, I guess a lot of people liked the scene in the first one with Sam's parents and Sam trying to hide the Autobots in the yard and stuff. I actually enjoyed that scene. A lot of people didn't and thought it was kind of over the top, but I enjoyed the humor of that. I had no problem with that because it was kind of, it was tastefully done, at least more so than the college scene, where it's like, I don't know if they got some feedback on that, or we really liked the mom. Okay, let's give Sam's mom more to do in the new Transformers movie, because clearly she's why so many people are going to see it. So they get her high on pop brownies, and she's hitting on college guys, and it just goes on and on and on. The other thing was with the college scene, remember the Decepticon chick? Obligatory hot Decepticon chick? You want to talk about things not being followed up on, and therefore being pointless? What happens to Decepticon chick? She shows up, makes out with Sam, and then gets into a big scrap and blah, 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 blah. The whole purpose of Decepticon chick seemed to be just to shoehorn in yet another pointless, stereotypical teenage love story subplot by having the jealous girlfriend. The jealous girlfriend walks in, sees them kissing, and, oh my god, you're betraying my trust! And then it's forgotten about.
Yeah, because that's what we sound like.
It's forgotten about as quickly as it happens. So what was the point of it then? It had no consequences to it whatsoever. It did nothing to forward the plot. It was just there for the sake of being there. Do not introduce a subplot if it is not relevant.
Can we end this review now?
Yes.
Awesome. From all of us to all of you.
Well, we have to give a rating.
Oh yeah.
we can just leave. It's like, so it sucks, and we're not going to tell you how much with our star rating.
Our Z rating.
Z rating. Well, you know what I mean. Okay. Out of 5 Z's, Annetta, what do you give Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen?
I'm going to be nice, unlike you, and give it 3.5.
3.5?
That's me. Okay, that's me.
3.5 from
Z's.
Annetta.
Yeah.
Any particular reason you rated so highly?
I like Megan Fox.
You'd think that would come from me, but okay. Well, I really like Shia LaBeouf. He's just so sexy.
Shut up.
Alright, what did I think of Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen? So as much as I wanted to like it, because, you know, I figured we got the origin story out of the way with the first one, and it'll be all into the action now, and I enjoyed some of the action,
Come on.
there was just too many problems with it,
Spit it out.
you know. So I give it 2
Ouch.
out of 5 Z's. Not 2.5, 2.
That's sad.
Well, it was a sad movie.
It wasn't that bad.
I thought it was horrible. And I'll buy it on Blu-ray because I'm just that much of a Transformers whore. But yeah, I thought it was very, very disappointing.
If there's any movie that's going to get awards from the summer, it's definitely going to be Drag Me to Hell, though.
Drag Me to Hell was great. See, Drag Me to Hell was fun.
Yeah.
And they followed up on everything properly, and it had a proper beginning, middle, and end. There was nothing in it that didn't have a point to it.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, still, there's only one true Transformers movie that is actually faithful to the original story, because it's part of the original story, and that's the 1986 animated movie. Now, I have seen some people argue something to the effect of, well, how much depth do you expect the Transformers movies to have? I mean, really. The original comics didn't really have, and the original cartoon didn't have that much depth, so it was just about a bunch of robots finding some energon cubes. And it's like, ugh. Watch this and tell me it doesn't have fucking depth to it. Watch season 3 and tell me it doesn't have fucking depth to it. The other thing is people say, like, well, how much depth do you expect summer blockbuster to have just generally, because it's all about the money. Really? So you're saying you can't make a quality sci-fi action film and also have it profitable? You can't make a quality sci-fi action film with depth of plot, meaningful characters, where they all go on a journey that they are changed by the end of the movie, and have a totally satisfying film that also A, maintains artistic integrity by being a quality film on its own, and B, makes hundreds of millions of dollars? You don't think that's possible, eh? Go watch this again. And then shut the fuck up. I feel better. How about you?
I'm a little worried. And just a tad scared.
It's okay, sweetie.
I'm going to be sleeping with one eye open tonight.
That's it from us to you, folks. Thanks for watching. And until next time, sayonara. Now, of course, Soundwave was the character that was most conspicuously absent from the first one, and fan outcry could be heard everywhere. Just to put your ear out your window and you hear fans screaming, "Where the fuck is Soundwave?" But, yeah. Well, come on. How much depth do you expect it to have? I mean, it's based on... fuck. Okay, calm down.